So passwords, there's a lot of best practices that go into password policy. One of the requirements in the regulations is that each person that has access to any given system has his or her own credentials. So you shouldn't be sharing username and password among your whole staff for a particular system. It's not what's in the regulations. It's not good practice. You need to store your credentials in a secure way. I can't tell you how many times our support staff has been on a GoToMeeting session trying to help an advisor, and the advisor pops open a spreadsheet with all their usernames and passwords in it, for our support staff to see. It's not a good idea. You shouldn't have a Rolodex or taped onto your keyboard or anything like that. It's convenient, but it's not secure. After this slide, I'll talk about secure ways you can manage your passwords so you don't have to remember 100 passwords. Any system should lock out a user after a certain number of failed attempts within a given time frame. So if I try to log in unsuccessfully to the vault a few times, it's going to lock me out for I think it's 15 minutes or so, which greatly reduces the chance that you're going to be compromised by a hacker. There's two main types of attacks that hackers use. There's one called a dictionary attack, and there's another called a brute force attack. So a dictionary attack is basically they have a program that runs through the dictionary and tries all the words and some combinations of words and some different capitalizations, and it tries as many as it can until it succeeds in getting into your system. It also tries things like your name, combinations of your name, your birth date, any information it knows about you. And believe it or not, there's a lot of information available about people on the web that can be used for this. If you have a Facebook account or if you have a LinkedIn account, there's information on there, and you shouldn't use any of that in your passwords. Systems that prevent you from reusing previous passwords, it's a good idea, because you can fall into a habit of using the same thing for everything, which is, the next point is you shouldn't use the same password to log into your public library account as you do to get into your bank, or, that you use to log into your favorite website as you do into your bank. Because if one password gets stolen and the hacker gets it, he's going to try that on every account that he knows you have. And you just don't want to increase your risk that way. Passwords need to be complex, and you'll see various systems tell you, that password's not strong enough. You need to add characters, you need to add uppercase, lowercase, numbers, symbols, and there's good reason for that. There's an article I read recently that talks about how some Georgia Tech researchers took some off-the-shelf graphics cards for computers and were able to have it guess an 8-character password in less than 2 hours. There's the technology is catching up with the policies, so the policies need to be updated. So in practice, a good password is 8 or more characters long, has at least alphabetic and numeric characters, and doesn't have words in a dictionary. A better policy will have that length, but also require upper and lowercase, and the best will have at least 12 characters. That article basically said the 2 hours for 8 characters goes up to 17,000 years when you get up to 12 characters. It also requires symbols, and these systems, some of them will require you to change your passwords periodically. We've gotten pushback from some advisors about the password requirements in Advisor Vault, and it's difficult for them or difficult for their clients. But we're doing it for good reason. We're trying to protect you and your clients' interests. We're also complying with legislation. So it may seem like it's making it more difficult than it should be, but it's really necessary. We've gotten some broker-dealers. One particular asked us to implement an automatic password reset every 3 months. And we did that, and we also added another feature related to it where it sends out an automatic notification that the password was reset, with a template email. So you can, if you think your customers, your clients are going to have difficulty with that, you can change that template email and add some more explanation about why you're resetting the password and how to go about making sure they understand how to get in. There are tools out there that can help you manage your passwords and potentially even help you help your clients with their passwords. I happen to use one called LastPass. I know Andy uses RoboForm. I've known other folks that use something called PasswordSafe. These are all free or relatively inexpensive tools that you can use to manage passwords. I'm going to show you LastPass here, a little bit of it. It's all the passwords and information are stored encrypted on their servers, so it's in the cloud, but it's pretty secure. You can have it do form filling, so if I go to our back office, I can tell it to fill that up with my administrative account credentials. And you can do you can have different settings for different sites. If you have your bank site and you're storing credentials in there, you can make it force you to put in a master password before it grants you access. You can also, using LastPass, share credentials, which it's not best practice to have your clients' passwords to even your own systems, but we know some advisors will help them by setting their password to something known, and either on the telephone or for web meeting, helping their clients log in. It's not best practice, but what you can do is if you do have your clients' credentials, you can put them in your LastPass vault, and you can share those credentials. And you have a few options when you're sharing credentials. You can make it so the password remains secret and they'll log in, but they won't even know the password, or you can give them the password. And one of the advantages of this sharing is if at some point you need to revoke access, you can unshare it. The catch-22 with this, though, is if you have clients that are having a difficult time with temporary passwords or remembering passwords or whatnot, they are going to have to install LastPass to be able to take advantage of this feature. But once you do that, you can help them with their passwords by entering them yourself and sharing them.
And password complexity, then, the main object of doing that, of creating a complex password, then, is really just to make it take the odds of one of these kits working and minimize them, because it'll make, by using non-alphanumeric characters like a pound sign or the @ sign or some of these other non-alphanumeric characters, those are the things that are less likely to be included in the brute force attempts to guess your password, right?
Sure. So it's all math, basically. So if you're including only lowercase letters and the digits 0 through 9, you got 36 choices for each character, and if you're only 8 characters long, that's 8 times 36. Whereas for you including upper and lowercase and symbols, you jump that 36 up to 95.
Yeah, and one of the things is that if you're using a program like LastPass or RoboForm, it will actually assign passwords for you. It'll generate a random string, and then, of course, it remembers it. And so, that could come in real handy because those are truly randomly generated passwords. Another idea for generating a password that may seem random but that you can remember is to think of a phrase or a song or a proverb, whatever works for you. It could be something as simple as the first words from a Beatles song, or a phrase like "every good boy does fine," and take the first or the last letter of each of those words and use that to create your password, plus some non-alphanumeric characters. So what I mean is, every good boy does fine would be E.G. BDF, and then you can add, # semicolon to it. And creating a password that, it could be longer, like that, there's no word that's EGBDF, obviously, and so a dictionary attack wouldn't work there. And yet you can remember something like that more easily because it is a phrase that you selected that might have meaning to you. So that's just an idea for creating, passwords that you can easily remember.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Let's say another good tip for creating passwords you can remember easily is substituting numbers for particular letters. Let's say, let's keep with your theme, you're a Beatles fan. You can take the word Beatles, and instead of an E, use a 3. Instead of an A, use a 4. And suddenly you've got B34TL3S instead of Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, more complex than just the word Beatles itself. There's another question about someone said they remember reading that changing passwords is not significant. It may not be significant in terms of things like brute force and dictionary attacks, but my personal opinion is it is significant in terms of using the same password for multiple systems where some are more sensitive or secure than others, and it also is significant in terms of social engineering. If you're not changing your password and someone gets hold of it, they could use it for multiple accounts of yours if you've used it, or if you have it on a piece of paper and it's tucked, gets stuck under your desk drawer and you haven't changed your password in 3 years. You sell the desk, someone gets that, they can get in. So my opinion is it is significant.
Just finally, the one thing that I would just end with is urging people to look at those password protection programs because, like Jim mentioned, advisors are, the things that I see going on. That's what prompted us to do this session. Was a discussion about some of the I don't want to say lazy. I guess I do want to say lazy or sloppy procedures going on by advisory firms, and even at the broker-dealer level. We're seeing, the things that I've seen where secure information that should be secure is being sent over email. But if you look at something like a LastPass to help you remember, or RoboForm, which I've been using for over 10 years, it'll really help you manage your passwords. Jim says that with LastPass, which he uses, an advisor could actually help a client manage his passwords. And all of these programs have something called Safe Notes, or something like that, where you can store a note securely encrypted, and you could put in there, if you have some clients that have difficulty with passwords, you could just put their passwords in there, and this way you can always access it in a pinch. And then finally, the one thing I'd mention is that on AdvisorVault, like I said, we've made it really easy to change passwords, so that every 3 months 1BD wants to be able to change passwords. So we made it so that you can almost you could do that in batch with all of your clients. Change their passwords, send them a new temporary password that they have to respond to within 24 hours, and so we're trying to support best practices as much as we can, and we're trying to, and so I hope that this kind of session helps support the idea of doing this security stuff the right way, so that people really don't mind the bit of a hassle that it might be to remember a strong password.